Hey YouTube, it's Square Boy here, bringing back the finest entertainment, the latest news that occurs within my life, and everything that you should need to know if you're just like me in mental aesthetics and mental personal infrastructure. And I have a video for you. I took a very long break because, I had to rebuild some strength within my personal life, and I had to adapt to my situation that had become detrimental towards me in a flavorful amount of ways. And it was kind of a rough time for me these past 2 to 3 months, this entirety of the longevity of summer that has began it has begun to quickly end. And the depth reason in which I refused to make videos was because I just had to rebuild. I had to regain strength. I had to accumulate stability within my life, within my personal grounding. And I couldn't distract myself with external influence from the YouTube community that I built for myself, the very, very, very minimal and the extremely, extremely basic YouTube community that I built for myself with an entirety of 10 subscribers. And that is not really an accomplishment, especially for me being on YouTube for a span of a longevity of about 7 months now. And I have gained about 10 subscribers since the start and the birth of my YouTube channel. But today we are going to discuss a familiar topic among us drug addicts. Well, I would not fully acknowledge myself and completely and inherently consider myself a drug addict, but I do have a numerous amount of experiences with drugs and substances. And my discussion for today's beautiful video, is the benefits of certain substances. Yes, some substances, although illegal and illicit in many earthly areas, they may provide mental and physical healing benefits in a lot of ways and methods in which they could chemically enhance mental performance, mental health, physical health, mental well-being, and physical well-being. And the pinnacle and primordial example of a very beneficial substance is, of course, psilocybin mushrooms. Psilocybin is a very helpful component, chemical component within the brain that is naturally occurring because it contains a lot of serotonin with ingestion or consumption. But serotonin is a very critical portion of a chemical within our brain, our mental wiring, and our mental infrastructure. Without serotonin, we would not be able to exist permeably. Serotonin is abundant within psilocybin mushrooms, and with higher serotonin levels, a human being or even a generalized organism may experience a longer lifespan, and that is because serotonin is what creates health. Serotonin creates health in a general fashion. Serotonin creates health, well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being. It is a very crucial adaptation to mental and physical health because it allows the immune system to function well with proper levels, and it allows the brain to stay clear-headed and to stay healthy, avoiding depression and other mental disabilities or disorders or dysfunctions. And serotonin, with a lot of genetic serotonin from the premature birth, or not premature birth, but just genetic serotonin that is built within you when you are a fetus, that will provide you already a genetic, natural, long life with no external influences acting upon it. Say if you get in a car accident, of course, that's going to diminish your lifespan. But serotonin is a very crucial element to personal health, and psilocybin is pinnacle. It has a prudential level of serotonin within its infrastructure. And what psilocybin does is it repairs abnormally detrimented brain functions. It repairs it. It could help with depression. It could help with a lot of mental disabilities like bipolar disorder, depressive symptoms, and all that shit. And it's just very beneficial towards the mind and body. It could allow more energy levels to be produced, more ATP levels to be refilled, and it's a very helpful and beneficial drug. And if with higher dosages and higher levels of consumption of psilocybin mushrooms, you will begin to notice difficulties or not bad, but unfavorable characteristics within yourself. And psilocybin on higher dosages can teach you specific ways and methods in which you may be able to improve yourself as a human being, which is awesome. And that is psilocybin for you. Psilocybin mushrooms. Another very beneficial substance, but it can only be taken in small dosages and not in crystalline formations, is methamphetamine. Yes, that sounds like such an industrialized thought or feature to discuss, but methamphetamine can actually raise IQ significantly. It can. There has been testing done on retarded children. No, I don't mean to say retarded, but mentally incapable, mentally insufficient children in which methamphetamine has helped improve mental cognitive functionalism significantly. And methamphetamine can really reversely devastatingly assist with depression. It could almost legitimately cure depression with one dosage. Methamphetamine, what it does is it increases the speed of brain functions. It increases the connectivity of neurons to each other, allows them to work in warp speed. And permanent effects from that, permanent ravishment of methamphetamine can be positive, and just the regular formation of methamphetamine, and very detrimental for a crystalline version of methamphetamine or crystal meth. And methamphetamine can help with a lot of mental disabilities and a lot of mental detriments. And the last drug that is popular mostly is acid, LSD, lethargic, dissective, whatever it's called. Acid is a very experimental drug, and it's always unpredictable. I know acid can be very, very, very damaging to the brain in high levels and excessive dosages, but most people who take acid, afterwards they feel happier, they feel more intuitive, they feel like they can accomplish more mental cognitive functions and tasks, and they feel like they're just fixed. They're fixed. Like their mental ravishment has become fixed in a lot of ways and a lot of different aspects. And what acid does is that it reroutes your brain chemical system to think positively for a long period of time. It's not like if you take a tab of acid once in your lifetime, it's not like it's going to magically fix it just with one dosage. But in small dosages and small increments used on a regular basis, acid could rewarp your brain into thinking positively, strictly positively. It's a confidence improver. It increases a lot of cognitive skill, and it keeps your body in decent physical health when you take it on an average not an average basis, but on a consistent basis. I know acid has been known to cause terrible, horrific, very disgusting forms of just mental ravishment. It could cause someone to stay in a negative trip for the rest of their lives, the rest of their life. But that is with excessive dosages. That's just terrible. But what the bad thing about acid is that, yes, your tolerance increases very quickly while using it. It's always good to pace yourself with acid dosages. And you can't overdo it. I mean, acid is very sensitive. It's very potent for how little of a dosage that you normally consume. And it's very sensitive, so that's why I would recommend you taking it slow. Marijuana is our next substance. Yes, marijuana is mostly damaging, it's actually not mostly damaging if you initially consume it over the age of 17, because adolescents, when their brains are growing and developing very radioactively, and not radioactively, but figuratively in a radioactive sense, and adolescents' brains are developing rapidly. And marijuana may stunt an adolescent's brain growth if he or she does it frequently or consumes marijuana frequently, especially hashish and especially wax oil dabs, and that could be really damaging. But once you become an adult, even a young adult, and you start consuming marijuana, neurons are connected more quickly and more efficiently. Meaning, with tetrahydrocannabinol, with that being in effect on a consistent basis, neurons will connect and allow new pathways and structures to be built and structuralized within one's chemical makeup within the brain. Yes, marijuana is very illegal, but no, it really has no reasons for it being illegal. It's a mitigated, it's a very affirmative and a very irrational sense of illegalization, and especially in North America, because marijuana could really stunt the government if it's legalized. Meaning, marijuana is such a big business, it's such a large industry, especially in legalized states, that it could really ravage the government in some senses. With more marijuana farms being built, more money is wasted. The government funding can be placed in marijuana distribution and industrialization and composition, and additionally construction and development of marijuana. And that will waste a ton of money in governmental funds. That is why it's illegal, and it is illegal because a lot of police arrest people who consume marijuana because they consider them dangerous. It's a good way to get criminals off the streets, because a lot of criminals that utilize and smoke marijuana, especially lower income criminals, lower intelligence levels of prisoners, they consume marijuana and they are usually criminals. So police like to target people who use marijuana and consume it because they are criminals and they do other illicit actions. But I really don't agree with this. This is what the government has been saying, but I don't agree with this. But so on and so on. Let's skip to the benefits of marijuana. Marijuana can stimulate brain cell growth. Me, myself, personally, I believe I have developed a new sense of intelligence after consuming marijuana. I have developed higher levels of in-depth thinking and a higher level of consciousness. And it's been helpful, but it stimulates brain cell growth within the chemical infrastructure of the brain. Yes, many people consider marijuana to be a destructive substance in terms of destroying brain cells, but that is only when used before the age of 18 or 19. Yes, marijuana can destroy cancer cells. It does. Most people who smoke marijuana regularly for long periods of time, they're usually in good health. That's a proven fact, and that's a theoretical essence. Yes, marijuana can destroy cancer cells, and even for health, my theory is that the more cancer cells that one possesses, the least likely that person has to live a long period of time. Cancer cells are in everyone's body. There's cancer cells in every organism's body. But when you don't get cancer, you don't extract cancer until the cancer cells are activated, and that's an unknown reason for the cancer cells being activated. No one knows why cancer cells are activated, but marijuana destroys cancer cells. Cancer cells increase the level of aging, the rate of aging, and usually people who smoke marijuana, they don't age as rapidly. So marijuana does kill cancer cells. It does help with anxiety. It does help with depression. It does help with maybe many manic depressive symptoms, and possibly even psychotic symptoms, like those who have developed schizophrenia and those who have developed psychosis. And it really does provide benefits towards those disabilities. And it's just a magic drug, and that's why so many people love smoking marijuana, and that's why it's used for medical purposes. It's because it's beneficial. It's a pain reducer, it's a stress reliever, it's a brain cell stimulator, and it's just a very decent drug, even though it's illicit and illegal in many areas of the world. And that's the video I have for today. I just wanted to discuss certain benefits and certain beneficial aspects and features of certain substances. And that's what I would like to discuss more frequently about. It's about substances, because substances are such a confusing and such a airy, awry, and certain-eyes as a concept of life. And that's my video for today. Thank you for watching and tuning in. See you in my next video. Goodbye.